let's move into the Chancellor's report. Might I add, the final Chancellor's report of this Chancellor. I should say also, as you all know, Jack was originally slated to retire September 1st, but because of a couple of the issues that are being brought to us today, I felt it was really, really important to have our Chancellor here for this meeting, and he graciously agreed to spend an additional couple weeks with us. So thank you, Chancellor, for that.
Thank you. I feel very overwhelmed, frankly, by the kind words that have been said. Terry, thank you for that nice comment. You and I have known each other, as you said, for several decades, and I've been so impressed by the great work that Terry has done here at San Diego City College. I remember attending the summit here, and just walking around this campus, one gets the sense of the vibrancy and the great work that's being done here, the service to students all across the board, those who are transferring, those who are involved in career technical programs, or adults who are coming back here for additional learning. San Diego City College is one of the great colleges of our system, and one of the things that I enjoyed most in my period as Chancellor was going to various campuses, and I always walked away with a greater sense of what the mission of the community colleges is and how important it is. And so thank San Diego City College for being a wonderful host. Scott did mention about the retirement dinner. I once again was so thankful. I really think as I close out this phase of my life that the main feeling that I have is gratitude. I've been extremely fortunate to have a wonderful career, and it began in 1973 in California community colleges. I had some career prior to that, but I made a decision to join the community colleges and their great mission, and I've never regretted it. The retirement dinner was very, very nice. I appreciated Scott's comments and some of the other individuals who made comments there. And I guess everybody wanted to join in, so I went down before that to the Los Angeles Community College District, where they gave me a nice resolution. University of California, because this past year I've been lecturing to their fellows twice a quarter. They had a nice reception for me, and my own staff and my vice chancellors. It was just one of those round of receptions and congratulations, and it made a person feel very good. I almost felt like I'd attended my funeral prematurely. But it was so nice, and I want to thank everybody for that. In fact, the staff of the office decided to put up a plaque in a conference room in that building and name it the Chancellor Jack Scott Conference Room. So that was a very great honor also. There's a lot of things have happened in the last 2 months, and so if you'll indulge me, I would like to talk a little bit about some of those things. Senate Bill 1456 is, to me, an extremely important piece of legislation. Our good friend, Senator Alan Lowenthal, authored that bill, and the Chancellor's office worked hand in hand with him as it went through its various iterations. Always you never know for sure what's going to happen in the legislature. As someone who spent 12 years there, I never simply sat back and relaxed as one of my bills made its way through the Senate and the Assembly and the committees and the governor's office. And so we found out right toward the end that there had been some amendments added in the Assembly Appropriations Committee that distressed us some. So we, and when I say we, I'm talking about Senator Lowenthal and myself, went to the Speaker, who was very helpful, and said, "Lowell, let's go and work on it," because, frankly, some of the amendments endangered the bill from the standpoint that it made it possible for the Department of Finance to say, well, that's too demanding, and we're going to recommend a veto. So we worked very hard on it, and we were able to get changes in those amendments, and as a result, The bill passed the Assembly 65-0 and the Senate 35-1. So we got a resounding affirmation from the legislature on the road of student success. And in discussions, of course, the governor has 30 days to make up his mind to sign the bill. But in our discussions with the office, the governor's office, we got very positive signs. In fact, they asked, well, now, does the Board of Governors intend to continue this pursuit of student success? Because we know that 1456 laid the framework, but there's still a lot of things to be done. As you know, their Student Success Task Force had 22 recommendations, some of which will require legislation, some of which will require, one of which, by the way, is on our agenda today, the priority registration will require regulations passed by the Board of Governors, and some will simply be pointing to good practices and encouragement of colleges. So I think we've taken a very important step forward in terms of the Student Success Task Force. I'm very encouraged by the progress of that particular bill. And I've also been very encouraged by the kind of press response we're getting. All up and down the state, it seems that the idea of our really tackling student success and becoming an even more productive system has really caught the attention of editorial writers. And almost unanimously, they have indicated their support of this. I was reading in the Modesto Bee, it talked about the loss of student enrollment first in community colleges, and I'll discuss that in just a moment. But it went on to say, keeping students' eye on the goal. And it talked about how that now there are ways in which we're to identify ways to improve student success. Well, that was just one illustration. Over and over again, we're getting some very positive comments. It's I sometimes remind our community college people in general view the community colleges very, very positively. We have the highest rating in polls among the three segments of higher education, the approval rating. But I said you can't go to the legislature and simply say, we're going to do everything just the way we've always done it and give us more money. Some way, somehow, you've got to go to the legislature and say, this is what we want to accomplish, and if you'll give us more money, we can accomplish this. And certainly the bill that Senator Lowenthal authored said in effect, I still got to clear my throat, he said in effect, this is a framework. We are saying we want students not only to come to community colleges, but we want students to succeed, to get certificates, to transfer, to get an associate degree, or to complete whatever course of study they may have. So that's really what has been happening. And on August 29th, our very able Vice Chancellor Paul Feast and the Director of Communications, Paige Dorr, arranged for a press conference because we'd just gotten the statistics from the 11-12 year. And those statistics indicated that our enrollment was 2.4 million. Now, that sounds like a lot, and it is. But in 08-09, just 3 years earlier, it had been 2.89 million students. So in that period of time, the community colleges had lost 4.9 million students. As I often point out, that wasn't a lack of demand on the part of community colleges. It was a lack of supply. We just couldn't offer the courses. And we have the sad picture of students crowding around our classrooms trying to get in and couldn't get in. In fact, at the time that I held that press conference and we had good participation, we pointed out that there were 470,000 students' names on wait lists. Now, some of those names were, maybe somebody was on 2 or 3 wait lists, but that's, once again, an indication. So we got very good press coverage on that. We talked to people, pointed out how that the community colleges were striving to serve the best they could, but they'd experienced a 12% cut in the last 3 years, which resulted in a 17% drop in enrollment. Now, when I say in enrollment, that's head count. The full-time equivalent didn't drop that much because more and more of our students are taking more and more courses. But that indicates something of the problem that we have. As I sometimes say when people ask me, what about the master plan? Do you think the master plan is still valid? I said, well, of course it is. The problem is that the master plan is not properly funded. If the master plan were funded like it should be, we could fulfill the duties and responsibilities that each segment of higher education has been given, University of California, California State University, and California community colleges. We're trying to just highlight what's happening to community colleges, setting the stage for the way in which we can ask for more money. Well, there were a few other events that I attended. There was one at the Los Angeles Chamber of Commerce on August 24th called Pancakes and Politics, and they called for me and Jamie Marasotos, who is the CEO of the Lumina Foundation, to come down and talk about, in my case, the Student Success Task Force. David Rattray, who is a vice president of the Los Angeles Chamber and head of all their educational efforts, served on that task force. So that was a great experience. I enjoyed meeting, and then David and Jamie and I got to meet separately. I was interviewed on the Conan Nolan show on KNBC TV on Sunday, August 26th, and last Saturday I was the keynote speaker at the inauguration of the Pacific Oaks president in Pasadena. There are some happenings among our vice chancellors, which I constantly remind you of how important they are to the success of California community colleges. And you'll witness that when I retire next Friday. Things will go on just as well because we'll have the good leadership that we have in those vice chancellors. Now, one of our vice chancellors announced her intention to resign and take a very important position with Apple. And Marlene Garcia will perhaps talk a little bit about that when she gives her report. But I'll just tell you that Marlene Garcia has been an outstanding vice chancellor of government relations. I can't tell you the hours that she put in the Capitol, always with a smile on her face and with a lot of information. And it was a joy to work with Marlene the 3.5 years I've been chancellor. I think she spent a little over 5 years as vice chancellor, and we always hate to lose somebody of that caliber, but we certainly wish her well in this very important role that she's taking. And then today in the New York Times, Tom Friedman, whom all of you perhaps remember, the author of The World is Flat and one of the best-known columnists in America, talks about new rules, and we're going to pass this out. And in one of his paragraphs, he starts it off with, Von Ton Quinlivan, the Vice Chancellor for Workforce and Economic Development at the California Community College System, explained to me the 4 basic skill sets out there that are needed today. And it goes on to explain the words of Von, how capably she informed Thomas Friedman, and we'll pass this out to the Board of Governors so that they'll have it to read. But once again, I applaud her. She has certainly taken on the task of being our Vice Chancellor of Workforce Development, Career Technical Education, in a very capable way. And that's, of course, one of the important things that I'll pass that along, maybe, if you will, and get them, and then maybe you can see it gets over to the other side of the table as well. Well, that, as was said, that's the final Chancellor's report. I just seem to be one of the most fortunate people I know in the sense of that I've been able to connect and give leadership in so many different roles, and certainly this Chancellor's job has been a great, great job for me. I reached an age in which I thought I don't want to work full-time anymore, and so I decided to retire, and the Claremont Graduate School called me and wanted me to lecture some there, and I said, well, as long as it doesn't take up more than about a fourth or a third of my time, I'll be glad to do it because I don't want another full-time job. So I accepted that opportunity to, to try to play the role of a sage a little bit. I don't know whether I've got the wisdom, but I've certainly got the age to do it. And so I'll enjoy that. It'll give me the opportunity to share a little bit of my educational and legislative experiences. And I'll certainly look forward to seeing many of you as I continue to enjoy good health, and I'll stick around. And as I've told anybody in this group here, I will not interfere, but if one time you want to pick up the phone and give me a call and ask a question or ask for any kind of advice, I'll be very happy to give it. It's just been a great experience. The California community colleges are just an amazing system. It's the largest system of higher education in the United States, but it's also one of the most important because of the role that we play, whether it's the single mother who's desirous of improving her skills, whether it happens to be the individual who's the first one in his or her family to go to college, whether it's somebody who decides they need to stay at home for 2 years and then transfer to Cal State University or the University of California. We're there. We are there to accept and improve and transform the lives of millions of people every year. One can't think of a more important role than that. So thanks again for all that you've done for me, but most of all, I want to point to what I think is a tremendous and important mission of California community colleges. Thank you.
Any comments or questions for the Chancellor?
Not to get into a murky area, but was there any update on San Francisco?
I'm going to, if you'll notice in your calendar, there's an accreditation report that will be later. And we'll discuss the 3 community colleges, Cuesta College, College of the Redwoods, and City College of San Francisco. And I've probably gone on long enough now, but in your agenda, and I believe it's down for Tuesday morning.
Yes.
But in your agenda, I will update you on what's happening at all 3 of these colleges in great detail. And as Scott pointed out, we have gone over there. I've been in contact with Pam Fisher, for instance, the interim chancellor there, a great deal over the phone. Scott and I went to their board meeting, and I'll give you a very detailed update on that, because there are some ways in which the Board of Governors may be involved in playing a role there. So I'll keep you in suspense.
Any other comments or questions for the Chancellor?